Hello Star Wars YouTube fans, thank you for visiting my channel today, Johnny Star Wars. If you are new here today, please hit that subscribe button and the notification bell to stay up to date for future Star Wars content. If you are an existing subscriber, many thanks for subscribing and many thanks for watching today. So I've got a video today for you of my Luke Skywalker Dagobah training figures. So these are sort of three different scene specific Luke Skywalker figures from Dagobah. Hasbro have recently released a Luke Skywalker Dagobah 3-pack called the Cave of Evil, and that particular 3-pack, which I'll chuck up on the screen now, shows Luke Skywalker Dagobah figure, which is a release or repack of the Black Series figure. I've never ever been a fan of that particular figure, particularly the arms. I think that figure is probably a contender for the worst ever Hasbro figure produced. I just don't know what they're thinking of with that one. I know it can do some different poses, but I just think the aesthetics of it are absolutely terrible, all wrong. So I've done a custom of that figure, which I'll come to in a moment. And then the middle figure here I've got is a figure with Yoda. This one has just had I think it was a pretty much a head swap on this one. This is the actual figure that I display in my cabinet. So all my original trilogy collection figures, this is the one that I've gone with for display, and I think that combined with the Yoda on the back is a really nice figure. And then the other one on the right, this figure is sort of Luke in Dagobah using the Force to try and raise the X-Wing towards the end of that specific scene. So just thought I'd talk about these figures a little bit more. So this one is the most customized figure out of these three. So this one is using the Black Series 3.75 inch figure that came out a few years ago, and this one did come with the horrible arms with the funny joints at the elbow. So what I've done with this one is quite a straightforward custom. Is if you boil and pop the arms out, you have to give it a good couple of minutes in boiling water, and then probably with a pair of pliers and a little bit of tissue or something, is actually pull the arms out of the sockets. They are quite tight to get out, so you must boil it, otherwise you just end up breaking the pegs. So I boil and pop the arms out, and then boil and popped the arms off of a Luke Skywalker farm boy. I think it was the original Saga collection figure. I think they call them VOTC figures, but the vintage Saga collection figure of the farm boy Luke, and then just put them arms on this particular figure, which gives a much more sort of pleasing look to the figure as well. I'm generally not a fan of this figure regardless. There's just a few things going on with this that I don't like, which I'll just explain. So number one is obviously the arms, which I have now addressed. So I think that gives a lot nicer looking figure there. So we got sort of the full articulation on the arms there, and the arms look quite nice, all in proportion to the body, and so you got the articulation there. The other thing I don't like about this figure is the actual paint application on the legs. I don't know if you can see in this joint here, it's just showing a skin flesh color peg, which I guess is what the figure's molded out of, and then painted over the top. But that joint in there I just think's a little bit poor. And then also just regarding this figure generally, if you compare it to these other two figures, this one here, the boots are just the same color as the trousers, so there's no real definition in paint applications there, so that's just a little bit of a letdown. Whereas on these other releases you see that the boots are clearly a different other color and different material, and that's true of both these figures, so you can see the difference there. So I don't like the paint application on this. And then the other thing as well is the reason I sort of brought this figure is because of the articulation sort of here, sort of at the pelvis, so he could actually, you know, sit down, but then the other issue that it has as well is the ball joint at the knee. It just doesn't seem to go back very far at all. So I think there was a few other poses I'd like to have seen this figure do, maybe sit down cross-legged. That just isn't possible with the articulation on this figure. So I'm pleased I've updated it. I quite like the look of the figure now with the additional articulation, etc. The new vintage collection Luke, I believe, has had an update to the face, so it's using the photo real paint application. I have seen some pictures online of that which leave a lot to be desired, so it just looks a little bit like Quasimodo in some pictures, so I don't know quite what's going on with those figures. But this face sculpt is from the Black series, so I've just left that as it is. So the main thing I addressed on here was the arm sculpt and articulation, so I'm quite pleased with how that's come out. So I hope you like that video review today of the Luke Skywalker Dagobah customs that I've done. As always, I'll be always interested to hear your thoughts and comments on these figures. Have you got the new vintage collection 3-pack Luke Skywalker Dagobah Cave of Evil 3-pack? What's your thoughts on that? What's your thoughts on the figure, in particular the arms? Do you like them, or do you think they should address that maybe with a future release sometime? Maybe if it come on a dedicated vintage collection card back, maybe we get a figure one day with a better sculpt overall. So let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.
We would be honoured if you would join us.
That's true, guys. I would be honoured if you would join us. YouTube have been changing their algorithms lately to favour the more sort of corporate, bigger channels, which often have got affiliations with different companies. So consequently, the smaller channels and even sometimes the not so smaller channels are being lost on YouTube. So please do hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you can stay up to date for future Star Wars content. Many thanks for watching, and see you next time.